أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم وقوله حق وهو أصدق الصادقين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون صدق الله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today is the fourth session on the Islamic philosophy of Taleem and Tarbiyat. We are trying to understand the fundamentals of Islamic Taleem and Tarbiyat and comparing this philosophy with the modern philosophy of education, which is based on humanistic approach. This is based on humanism. In today's world, as we see, there are different types of war which takes place. And one of the war is soft war. Soft war is something which is known as educational war. They change the minds of the people. They don't kill people to take away their land. They change the minds of the people to make them their slaves. So instead of killing people and wasting bullets, they change the mind of the nation so that nation starts following them and they benefit from people as much as they can. So that educational war, the battle in the field of education is called soft war, where you don't have to kill anybody. No bloodshed, no destruction, nothing. Just change people's mind and use them for your personal benefit. That's why educational philosophy is very important, for everyone to know the basis and fundamentals of it, if we want to save ourselves and our generation. Otherwise, we will follow them and our next generation will follow very easily, and then the third generation will do as they want. When Muslims goes to West or Europe to study, and they ask people over there who are in education, they ask them, aren't you afraid so many Muslims are coming to West and studying there? They say, no, we are not worried about you. We will give you citizenship also. Then they say that so many Muslims will be there and everything will change. They say, no, nothing is going to change. You are not our target. Your children are our target. Your children will study in our schools and we will shape their minds the way we want. So you may be Muslim, practicing Muslim, but your generation, your next generation and next generation will be ours. After 2 generations, they will not think what you want to think. They will think the way we want them to think. So they change the generation. And then when we go to West, study, come back, we become their ambassadors. And we set up college, university, everything based on their mentality. And we get degrees and certificates and feel proud about it. That's how they have established systems. That's how they have established government. That's how they have established everything, because first they have educated people and then they have established things the way they wanted. That's why we are still under their way of system. We don't have our own systems. That's very sad. Being a Muslim, the second largest majority in the world, we don't have any system, which is called Islamic system. Yes, there is work going on, but it will take a long time to build our own system. So this is just a drop in the ocean, which we are trying to understand and work upon it. So the objective of today's session is to know the Islamic educational targets. What are the educational targets? Understand the relationship between the goal of Islamic education and Islamic educational targets. And the third thing is to compare Islamic and humanistic principles of education. So I may be able to complete it today or maybe in the next week. It depends on how we understand step by step. So let's see how it's going to be. So the first thing, for food for our thought, is what is the relationship between philosophy and education? What is the relationship between philosophy and education? So don't worry, I'm going to explain it myself. I know you know the answer, but you may be not able to connect it right now. Yes, we know education and we know philosophy, but what is the relationship? So the relationship is like this coin. This coin has two sides. Every coin has two sides. So one side is philosophy and the other side is education. Philosophy is theory and education is the practice of that theory, the practical of that theory. So when we talk about philosophy, we are talking about the idea, the concept. That's philosophy. But when it comes to education, which we are taking into our schools, college, universities and different places, is the practical aspect of that theory which is implemented in the forms of targets. I can use also this word by saying educational targets. Instead I can say educational goals, but it will you will get confused about it. So I've just put educational targets. So to understand very simply, philosophy is a concept and this is practical. Philosophy is theory and education is practical. So let's go and understand a bit deeper. So when we say we have Islamic philosophy, from Islamic philosophy we drive Islamic philosophy of education, Islamic philosophy of education. And then the goal of Islamic education. It is step by step. There are three things. First, Islamic philosophy. In Islamic philosophy, we are focusing on Islamic philosophy of education. And in Islamic philosophy of education, we are focusing the goal of Islamic education. Right? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, so what is the difference between Islamic philosophy and Islamic philosophy of education? Islamic philosophy is a big task, big thing. One of the thing is Islamic philosophy of education. Then there's Islamic philosophy of politics, Islamic philosophy of economics. These are different parts of Islamic philosophy. But one part is education.
Can you repeat again?
Yes. When we say Islamic philosophy is a general picture, is a big picture. In this big picture, there are small components. One of the component is the philosophy of education. There's a philosophy of politics. There's a philosophy of economics. Different parts, which makes bigger picture, which is called Islamic philosophy. Okay? Now, from Islamic philosophy of education comes one thing out of it, which is called the goal of Islamic education. There's only one goal. Only one goal, which is called ultimate goal, the final goal of Islamic education. Okay? What is that? What is that goal? So there's only one goal, which ultimately as a Muslim, we want to achieve that goal. That's the purpose of creation. That's the ultimate objective. Is وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. That is the ultimate goal. Right? Shall we go ahead? Now when you have this one bigger goal, and then it has small other goals. Okay? But this goal is taking us towards God. Because it says the purpose of your creation is to worship God. We will discuss in detail about it, but this is just for idea. There's another verse in Quran which talks about Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullah wabtaghu ilayhil wasila wajahadu fi sabilihi la'allakum tuflihun. So this verse is in support of the previous verse. It is saying wabtaghu ilayhil wasila, come nearer to me. God wants us to get closer to God. That is called perfection. Because every human being by nature want to be perfect, want to be good, better. And we can reach closer to God when we follow what God says. Illa liya'budun, through our prayers, through our actions, through our worshipping God, we are getting closer to God. That is the ultimate goal. Okay, because ibadah doesn't mean only 5-time prayers. Ibadah means your way of life, the way God wants us to live. If this is clear, then we are going ahead. We are going another step. So we have discussed 3 things: philosophy, Islamic philosophy, and educational philosophy, and goal of Islamic philosophy. Now we are going to next level. So there is theory and there is practical. When we said Islamic philosophy, if you remember the first lecture which I had shared with you, we have discussed 4-5 things in that. We said the fundamentals, the basis of Islamic philosophy is based on epistemology, which talks about knowledge, ontology, theology, exology, and anthropology. We discussed that briefly. Then we discussed Islamic philosophy of education, goal of Islamic education, and now the other thing is Islamic educational targets. So if you have a coin in your hand, one side of the coin is goal of Islamic education and the other side of the coin is Islamic educational targets. All these 3 things are called theory, and another thing is called practical. So there are 2 sides of the coin. One is the goal of Islamic education and second is Islamic educational goals. If this is clear, then we can go ahead. So what happens in all these 3? Goal of Islamic education is the ultimate goal, outlines the desired outcomes, which talks about what? Which talks about the ultimate goal. And then Islamic educational targets break this outcomes down into achievable targets. When you go to school, college, university to study, these are achievable targets which you need to achieve. It is tangible, it is achievable. But concepts are not achievable like that. So we have 2 types of targets, 2 types of goals. So what is the connection between goals? If you can see on the screen, what was the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal was? Yes, that's on the top, which is with the red. Okay, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. That is the ultimate goal, which is one goal, which takes us towards God. Because the purpose is to get closer to God. That is the vertical goal. Now the horizontal goal. So there are 2 types of goal. One which is bigger goal, ultimate goal, and the horizontal goal is my physical goal, my intellectual, moral, economical, social, political, and XYZ. These are also goals. But this goal is horizontal. And the ultimate goal is to get closer to God. When you do horizontal goals correctly, you are going towards perfection. So this is something very important for us to remember that in Islamic perspective, we have two dimensions. One dimension is taking us towards perfection, towards God, closer to God, and the other dimension is the horizontal dimension, which we have to do on the other aspects of life. That's why as a Muslim, it is our responsibility to earn halal, to have, if we want to eat, we eat halal food, we earn halal money. Why? Because it has effect on our connection with God. If I am a father, I have a responsibility, I have some rights, I have to do that. As a son, I am accountable to respect my parents because it will help me to get closer to God. So these are horizontal goals. In politics, how I am going to do politics? What is the Islamic perspective of politics? So that it will help me to go closer to God. So I have many targets to achieve horizontally and one vertically. Because Islam says you cannot go into cave and live there and say, I am getting closer to God, I am going to do ibadat whole life. I don't want to be in public and give public services. No. I don't want to go into jungle and pray and stay alone over there. And I don't want to mix with people. I don't want to take any responsibility because the pleasure I am getting with ibadah, the pleasure which I am getting with supplication from God, I don't need this world. God is saying, if you are my servant, then you go and serve people. Do your duties towards society, towards your family. But that's the difference between the Islamic approach and other approaches in this world. You don't become selfish. You don't just think of yourself. You think of yourself and others also at the same time. That is, you develop vertically and you develop horizontally, both. But in the Western world, it's different. Their goals are different. Their targets are different. I hope I have been able to clear my point here. And as a Muslim, as a person who follows Islamic rules and regulations, we focus on two dimensions. First, getting closer to God and doing my social responsibilities, which is there. Both. These are social. Moral relationship with others, with economics, with politics, with intellect. Right? And they have their own targets. Now let's go to another level. When setting educational targets, it is essential to consider the three main domains of human development. What are these three domains? The cognitive, the emotional, and behavior. These are the three things which is in every human being. We can think, we can feel, and we can behave, we can act. So if you are designing a political system, it should cover these three aspects. If you are designing an economical system, it should take care of these three aspects. If you are designing an educational system, it should cover these three aspects. That's very important.
So suppose if you miss one of these 3 points.
Yes. So you will not be incomplete. You will build something, but it will not be complete. Maybe you have arms and legs, but you don't have head. You are completing something, but not everything is there. Because that completes the human being. So it's very important for us to understand that Islam covers every aspect of human being when they are giving systems. Political system, economical system, educational system, social systems, systems of judiciary, they all look at these three things in a human being and design system based on these three things. Inshallah, in future we will explain in more detail. It's just giving you idea. So to recap, what is the ultimate goal of Islamic education? Getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the ultimate goal of Islamic education, right? Now, the goals of Islamic education, there was one goal which I mentioned, the bigger one. Now I'm giving you small goals, which comes under the same umbrella. If I'm not confusing you, right? Again, we all know these goals, but I've tried to put it together. So now what are these goals? Which comes under big umbrella? Guidance and development. Islam wants us to guide. Religion has come us to guide and to develop us. This is one of the goals. Purity and pious life. This is another goal which Islam wants us to have. Hayatan Tayyibah. This is what Islam wants. Islam wants us to have taqwa. La'allakum tattaqoon. Islam wants us to have taqwa. Closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ilayhil wasila. Wabtaghu ilayhil wasila. Worship and servitude. Illa liya'budun. These are our small goals, targets which we want to achieve. Having wisdom. Yu'allimuhumul kitaba wal hikmah. Developing thinking skills. Afala yatafakkarun, afala yatadabbarun. This God wants us to think and reflect. Nurturing fitra. Fitrat Allah allati fatara an-nasa alayha. Nurturing fitra. Building moral character. So these are the few basic things which as a target we live in our life. As a Muslim, when I am living this Islamic life, these are the targets which we are achieving to reach to the ultimate target, which is getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are helping us to reach that goal. Otherwise, we won't be able to reach that goal. So once the Islamic goal of education is clear, now we are going to another goals. Now the ultimate goal of humanism. What is the ultimate goal of humanist education? We discussed, we are going to compare, right? We have understood Islamic goal. Now we try to understand the humanistic approach, the philosophy of humanism. What do they want to achieve ultimately? If we will not compare, it will not be clear for us. So we need comparison, like day and night, you need to compare. So what is the ultimate goal of humanist education? Yes? The ultimate goal is for human to flourish in this life, focusing on the individual's happiness and social contribution and self-realization. This is the ultimate goal of people who are humanist, who think like humanist. When you talk to them, they will tell you, we want to develop and flourish ourselves. Me and everything around me. I want to come up, I want to develop, I want to grow. It's not we should grow, we should develop.
I, me and myself.
I, me and myself. Thank you very much. Focusing on individual's happiness. I want to be happy. Happy life. You know, they will always talk about happiness. If there's something tough, struggle, I don't want to do it. Because I'm not happy. So it means you are following your nafs-e-ammara. Because that's always you want to be happy, happy, happy. You can't be happy all the time. This life is not for only happiness. There is struggle, there is sorrow, there is grief, there is happiness too. There is success, there is satisfaction, there is contentment. Everything is there. But if I always think, I just want to be happy. If anything which doesn't make me happy, I don't want to live. I don't want to do. Happiness is not the goal of Islamic Taleem or Tarbiyat. But in their philosophy, happiness is the goal. Which is called also in another term, pleasure. I want pleasureful life. I want to have pleasure in my life. I don't want any pain in my life. If there's something which is giving me pain, move it or stay away from pain. Just get pleasure in life. Have an enjoyable life. Have fun in life. That's their mindset. So when they see anything where they have to go through tough hardships, difficulties, they move away. They don't want, they don't like. So that's the difference in, that's why you will see people saying, easy life, easy money, everything easy, comfortable. But you are in this world is a place of test, it's not a place of easiness. You are not in heaven, you are in this world. The reality of the world is different. So again, that's the ultimate difference is there. Now, the goal of humanist education, they also have some goals. We have understood the Islamic goals, sub-goals, and now we are studying their goals. Individuals' personal interests are important. So when I become an individualist, what is important to me? My personal interest. If this is an interest of me, I will do it. If it is not an interest of me, I will not do it. But as a Muslim, we not always talk about our interest. We talk about interest of everyone. Yes, we have our interest, but we can sacrifice our interest for the bigger interest, for everyone. We have the Shoda here. Yeah, you have these images of the Shoda over here, right? They have lived for themselves. They said individual personal interest is important. No, they have sacrificed for the greater cause, bigger cause. They didn't live for their own interest, they live for the interest of God. What is God's interest? What is God wants from us? Individual goals are given priority. So to me, my goal is important. To you, your goal is important. So if there is a clash, then I will not compromise. Why should I sacrifice and compromise for you? That's why we have problem in our family life. Husband and wife are struggling with individual goals, their priorities. Husband says, this is my priority, and wife says, this is my priority. Why should I sacrifice for you? Why should I compromise for you? Where this mentality is coming from? Are you Muslim? Yes, I am Muslim. Then why are you talking about my personal interest? Why not mutual interest, mutual goals? That's very important. Now we have become individualist. Our thinking is very independent and very selfish. Nurtures self-expression and personal fulfillment. Whatever the case is, if it's giving me fulfillment, it's good. Whether it's halal or it's haram, it doesn't matter. I'm enjoying it, I'm having fun, yes, it's okay. So normally in our life as a Muslim, we have to see, is it halal or not? It is right or it is not? Otherwise, we can't live like that, the way they live. So focusing on critical thinking and creativity without necessarily considering religious or divine guidance. This is again very important aspect to think. Focusing on critical thinking. They teach you to think critically. Now what is happening? It looks very simple, it looks very good, critical thinking. That means question everything, ask for reason, ask for evidence, ask for proof, and once you are convinced, take it. It looks very good. Yes, when it comes to scientific reasoning, yes. But when it comes to faith, every time it's not like that. You can't question when God has given you a command. You don't question God, why you have given this command. It is not coming in my intellect, I will not accept it. God says, okay, la ikraha fi deen, there is no force in religion. Once you understand religion, come. Once you come in, then follow. Don't ask question after becoming Muslim. that why it is like this, why it is like this, why. It means you haven't understood Islam. Go out again, get the proper understanding, and then get in. Like when you go to school, you don't, when you have given admission in the school, then you don't say, why I go to chemistry class, I don't want to go to maths class, I don't want to take this lesson, I don't want to take that lesson. You have come to study in the school, study the subjects which you have been given to study. You don't say, I won't follow this, I won't follow that. So that's the problem. When you have a critical thinking, not from the Islamic perspective, then you raise question on everything which Islam has said. And you want logical reason and convincing. Because in Islam, the Quranic concepts, not everything you will be told. Yes, there is a logical reason behind everything, but everything you may not be able to comprehend. That's why there is hikmah. There's wisdom behind things, which a normal people cannot understand. When you practice it, you experience it, then you come to know. So that's why we have to understand that the concept of critical thinking in Western approach is different from Islamic approach. Otherwise people, because they take it in that way, okay, problem solving. After critical thinking comes problem solving. Let's solve the problem. So now if you have a moral issue, how you're going to solve? How these people are going to solve moral problems? They are not taking guidance from God, so they will say, now let's decide. Let's decide.
Democracy.
Yes, democracy. Now you will decide whether it's aligned with God or it's against God. You don't care. Right? So let me give you one example. In today's world is world of AI, artificial intelligence, right? Everything is under now influenced by artificial intelligence. Every app, every kind of program is under the system or the tool which we call AI as a tool. Now AI is everywhere. Do they have moral principles to follow? Any technology, whether it's TikTok, it's ChatGPT, it's YouTube, whatever you have, social media. Is there any discipline, code of conduct or ethics to follow or not to follow? Everyone is making whatever they want and they are misusing the technology the way they want. There is no privacy, there is no security, there's nothing. Nothing is in control. Anybody can do anything. They can take your picture from here, like if you know about the technology, the footprints we have, the algorithm which is there, they're changing everything. And nobody is asking them how, why, and why are you doing it? Why are you giving our information to everyone? The commercial companies, the marketing companies take information, your data from you and design everything according to you. You know, in this war which is happening between Israel and the Iran and Lebanon and Palestine, this war, they are using algorithm. They are using this technology to identify people whom they think they are our enemies and they kill them. Because they have the data, they follow them, what kind of mindset they have, what kind of things they look, what kind of activity they do. Through their search on the mobile, they take out the data, they find out these people are dangerous, kill them. They go and they kill them. So that's another world which is going on. That's another thing which is going on. So if you have humanistic concept, then there is no law, there is no principle. You are doing whatever you want to. But Islam's put principle of moral conditions. They say, no, you cannot use any technology which is against the Islamic ethics and morals. If it crosses the line of ethics and morals, you are not supposed to use that technology. Technology should be used in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It should be used for human development, not human destruction. So this is very important subject itself about the AI world and how it is utilized in defense, in army, and everything. So I will end up here just by giving one example. The goal of Islamic education, Islamic educational targets, and from educational target comes the principle and method to reach those targets. So there is a chain, there is a flow. We have discussed first the philosophy. From philosophy, we discuss about the Islamic philosophy. From Islamic philosophy, we discuss about the goal of Islamic philosophy. From goal of Islamic philosophy, we discuss about the educational targets. Now, after the goal, the first thing is philosophy. From philosophy comes the goal. From the goal comes the principle, and from the principle comes the methods. This is the sequence. So what is the difference between philosophy and humanism regarding educational principles? That's my last question, and then inshallah we'll continue next week. I will give you the basic point here so that we can think by next week, if God wills, we'll continue. We have discussed about the differences in our goals. Now let's see what is the differences in our principles. Because from the goal comes principles. From principle comes the methods. So Islamic philosophy and humanism approach education with fundamental different principles, stemming from their distinct worldviews and value systems. Where we are different, our worldview is different and our values are different. That's why we are different from them. We don't do everything what they do because their values are different, their worldviews are different. We want to get closer to God, they want everything within themselves. Everything for me. That's big difference. Our values are coming from God. Their values are defined by their own experience and desires. Big difference. Inshallah, next week we will continue on the discussing on the and compare the differences of the principles. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please